I see bullying, especially of gifted people and neurodivergent people in the workplace. I personally have been bullied, and I know a lot of other people who have been. Another thing that tells you that you're safe is that you feel seen and accepted, even when life is messy. Life is very messy. I always think of it like finger painting. It's messy, but it's also beautiful. We know we're safe when we can laugh, we can cry, we can express ourselves without the fear of being harmed. The importance of emotional and psychological safety for neurodivergent individuals. Hi, friends, it's Diane. It's Someone Gets Me. And today we're talking about safety, talking about psychological safety and emotional safety. These things are very important in a business setting with your team, within your family, within our society at large, or in really any system. What I notice a lot is that psychological safety and emotional safety is not revered, should we say, in the corporate world or in the business world. I've worked in many different businesses over my life, and oftentimes the emotional and psychological safety of the people was not thought of by the higher ups, so to speak. I worked in an advertising agency one time, and the owner came into the artist room, and I was outside in the hall, and there were like 10 artists in the room designing the art for this advertising agency. And the owner of the company had a CD, and he took it and he hurled it so hard and so fast across that room that it stuck in the wall. Thankfully, it didn't hit anybody, but he was mad about something. And rather than dealing with it in an emotional way that was appropriate in a business setting or in a human setting, he did something that was violent, and he got away with it because he was the owner. I see it over and over again. I see bullying, especially of gifted people and neurodivergent people in the workplace. I personally have been bullied, and I know a lot of other people who have been. I mean, it's happened even recently where I had to set the boundary and say, we're not talking like that. So these are very real situations and real issues for all people, particularly neurodivergent people. Because see, what makes us gifted is that we process the world differently than others. So sometimes we might think that we're like an alien, or other people are stupid or don't get it, when really it's different processing. And not that one's good or one is bad, it's just different. And so it's really easy when we don't fit into the norm to get in situations where pressure or some kind of negative chaos, might we say, would get placed on us, or we would be bullied or made fun of. And so safety is very important. I remind all the executives that I work with to make sure that all their people feel safe. One of the ways I know when I go into a company that the people there feel safe is that they're able to say what they think in a respectful manner about a project they're working on or about something that's happening, without the fear of being ridiculed or made fun of or hurt somehow, emotionally or psychologically. You know, when you laugh at somebody because they might think different than you, that hurts them. That's harmful, right? That is not good. And I see it all the time. I see it all the time. I know I process things differently, and sometimes people give me that look. Can't you just be like the rest of us? They say. And I'm like, if only I could, but I can't. I was made this way. I was designed differently, just like all the people I'm talking to, you and others, right? So safety is not just like a physical thing where we need a security team, though that's pieces of it. But psychological safety means that our ideas, our mind, or the way we think, the way we feel in a situation is respected and honored, and that we don't get harmed as a result of what we think or feel or understand, right? It's very important. And so managers and parents and people who have management or charge, if you will, over others, it's even more important, because when you say something to another person that is harmful, knowingly or unknowingly, then we create problems. We create a lack of safety. Now, the consequence of a lack of safety is a person who turns within and shuts down, maybe gets depressed, right? Some people might even try to hurt themselves or become addicts or something. Or the other way of exploding and making things really crazy all around them. It's either going to go in or it's going to come out in a very big way. And both of those scenarios are unhealthy for the person themselves and the people around them. And so here in my world, I really work with myself and with others on having an integrity and an alignment with our emotions and with our psychology, our mind, our belief systems, so that we're safe. So I want to share with you some of the ways you can know you're safe, because I think that's really important. Like, how do we know? I had somebody the other day tell me on a get to know you call, oh, I just want to be happy. And I said, well, how do you know you're happy? What's your criteria? And they didn't know. And so I said, well, then what if you're happy and you don't know it? Because you don't have the criteria down. So it's important to know how we know these things. So one of the things is that I wrote some notes here for you, that one of the ways we can tell we're safe is that we don't need to explain our words or defend them to be treated with respect. In other words, we're respected without having to defend or explain what we're saying or not saying. We can have somebody ask us what we mean, or please say more about that would be even better. And we're not in a dangerous situation if somebody doesn't understand us. I worked in a situation once where the supervisor, anytime he didn't understand somebody or they didn't say it the way he wanted it said, he would blow off the handle and scream and yell and run around and ridicule the person. That's a lack of safety. In fact, that's emotional trauma. And so that tells you that that person was not psychologically safe around that supervisor. So are you respected when you say what you think in a business or family setting, and you, without having to like over explain it? Somebody might want a little bit of explanation because they may not understand, but it's different to explain to help somebody understand and having to explain yourself in order to not be hurt. Another thing that tells you that you're safe is that you feel seen and accepted, even when life is messy. Yeah, life is very messy. I always think of it like finger painting. It's messy, but it's also beautiful. And so we have messy lives sometimes. We'll make a mess of things. We'll walk into messes. Messes will happen around us. And do we feel seen and accepted even when it's messy? Even when maybe we're not feeling so great, or even when we're not in charge or the creative one or whatever. Are you feeling seen? Are you feeling accepted? Now, one of the biggest issues that I work with people on is not feeling seen or heard or understood. And I believe that gifted people are here to help save humanities from themselves, that we are here to bring a light and a way of seeing the world that is uplifting, that is powerful, that when we stand in our sovereignty, it's not a mistake of who we are and what we're doing. It's not a mistake that we're here to be a beneficial presence on planet Earth. It is a mistake to think that we're going to shrink and play small when we're not small. So are you seen and accepted? If you think about it, you think about the primary places you are during the day and you're not seen, or maybe you're not accepted, or both, that tells you that your emotional and psychological safety needs a little help because it's not there yet. Then I want to talk about having space. It's very easy to get dysregulated in this world, in this culture. And when you're neurodivergent, getting dysregulated can happen pretty quickly. And so do you have space in your work environment, in your home environment, in order to re-regulate, in order to come back into alignment, in order to breathe or rehydrate? Do you have the space for that? It's very important. And so some work environments, people don't have that kind of space, either to step out or to go into their own space, to quiet and go within and re-regulate. So if we get dysregulated and we're moving really fast, then what happens is we're dysregulated. Then pretty soon we're not feeling safe and we're not being heard. So does your work environment or your home environment have the space to do what you want to do, to regulate, to laugh, to cry, to share, to journal? Does it have the space for that? And speaking of laughing, one of the ways you can tell you're safe is that you laugh freely, that it's okay to laugh, that if somebody tells a joke, you can laugh. Or if something funny happens, you can laugh. And also means that if you're sad and you need to cry, that you're safe in doing that. It wasn't very long ago that somebody that I know quite well had a death in her family. And she was telling me how when she went to work, somebody asked her about it, and she was crying a little bit. And one of the people there, I think because they felt awkward, but it doesn't excuse it, laughed and asked her why she was crying. And so laughing at somebody and asking why they're crying like that really erodes away psychological safety. So we know we're safe when we can laugh and we can cry and we can express our emotions in a healthy way so that we can be accepted and heard and loved and cared about, right? Because when we're safe, we have that rapport, we have that connection. If we're afraid we're going to get yelled at or afraid we're going to get made fun of or ostracized or ignored, then we step away. And that means we're not feeling safe. And so think about it. In your work environment, can you laugh when it's funny, when something's funny? Not at the expense of others. I'm talking about just laughing. Or can you cry if you need to? And if somebody else cries because maybe they're sad because they had a loss, how do you respond? Do you respond in a meaningful way? Do you care? Do you listen? Do you walk away? Do you say nothing because you don't know what to say? How do you handle it? All the different emotions in yourself and in others. We know we're safe when we can laugh, we can cry, we can express ourselves without the fear of being harmed. Emotionally ridiculed is a form of harm. And then another thing I want to talk about that has to do with how you know you're safe is that people can hear you for the first time that you talk, right? That when you say something, you're heard. You don't hear what? All the time. You are able to express yourself without the thought in the back of your head that you're going to get demeaned or put down or not really know what's going on or that kind of thing, right? And so it's important to realize that being heard is very, very central to your safety. I know I spent many years of my life not feeling heard. And in fact, still today, there are times where I will say whatever it is I need to say, and it's clear and it's English and it's in very few sentences, and people will still say they don't understand. And after a period of time, that gets tiring and it becomes unsafe feeling inside of my skin because I can say something and it's not heard. In fact, when I was younger, I used to laugh and say, it's kind of like I speak English, but the person hears Chinese. Like in the air in between my mouth and their ears, something happens and they ignore me or they don't get it or something. And then if that's allowed to continue, it feels very unsafe in here because I can say things and I'm not responded to. Maybe I'm invisible, being ignored and feeling like you're invisible, or thinking that maybe people have, trying to take advantage of you because they do, like, oh no, that person's already tried once. Are they going to do it again? Those kinds of things are unsafe. So when people act out their motives, sometimes we see that. The last thing I want to talk about as far as how you know you're safe and everything is that you're able to be yourself without the fear of punishment. I mean, every once in a while I go, no, that's just my giftedness. That's just how I am. That's how I roll. Or I'm just a little goofy. In fact, I just did a get to know you call with somebody who wants to be on this show. And this person felt a little awkward at first because that person was approaching me more like it was a business deal. And I approached the show with a real personal connection because I want you to feel cared about, to feel heard, to feel understood. My goal on this show is to share things with you that remind you of your greatness or add more to what you already know. But what I do know for sure is that every single one of you, every person, you, yes, you are here on this world right now listening to this show because there's something mighty and important and good and amazing about you. That's what I know. And having that fear of punishment riding on our shoulders sometimes can really, really squelch us and have us feel unsafe and have us put up our protection barriers. And so we want to have a safe world. And it starts at home and it starts at work. I deal with it a lot in workplaces because a lot of times companies, the bigger they get, tend to lose sight that we're all human, and all humans, no matter how gifted we are or non-gifted we are, or how neurodivergent or how neurotypical, all humans deserve and have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. All humans. And so if that's the case, then anything short of that, being treated with dignity and respect, creates a lack of safety. And when we're not safe, people do goofy things. They lash out, they harm others, they hide. Sometimes when people don't feel safe, they make mistakes in their work that they wouldn't otherwise make, but they're feeling nervous. And so in order to have a workplace or a family that functions in a way that it works for everybody, it's important to have a level of safety where I can say what I feel and believe in an honorable way, and I'm respected for it. Even in a disagreement, we can both have different views and still get along. We can. It's really quite amazing. And we can also dialogue about things, and we can also work on things together. And so it's vital and it's important, I believe, to pay attention to the importance of psychological safety and emotional safety at work, within your friend group, at home, anywhere. I had some people that were struggling with some psychological safety in a religious institution they were going to. And, I had to work with them a little bit on how to set the boundaries and what to do because of the way they were treated. It was other than safe. So I hope these ideas have helped you. And I hope you realize that just because you're gifted and neurodivergent, or just because you dance to a different drum than the rest of the world, or just because you are a little quirky, those are the reasons that these things are so important. Because your unique, beautiful difference, the design of your being, has something mighty for the world. And you're the only one that can bring it forward, whatever the it is. Each one of us has a different it, right? We all have a way to bring who we are to the world. And yes, I'm a little goofy sometimes. And, I was so serious when I was younger that they wanted to do ulcer surgery on me. And I'm like, oh no, we won't be doing that. And so over time, with all my seriousness, I've had to deal with it a lot. And then now I have fun. And I still can be very serious. A lot of the work I do helps change lives. And so I take that very seriously. I take the intimacy of the work I do with people seriously. I had one CEO of a fairly large company say, one of the things I love about working with you, Dianne, is you don't barter my information. Nobody even knows I even know this person, I don't think, unless this person has told people. I certainly haven't. And so it's important that we remember that our safety is paramount. So in whatever you're doing, whether it's working with a coach or a mentor or a therapist or a doctor, or whether it's at work or family or home or on your sports team, your safety is important. Our ocean race sailboats, we go to sea. We have to be able to feel safe with the people we're on the boat with. In fact, one year I didn't go on the race because the people who were lining up for the crew were only talking about how much they were going to drink alcohol on the race. And that's not safe. So I declined the invitation for my own safety. And yes, I was made fun of by those people on the boat. And that's okay, because I stayed safe and I stood up for what I believe in regarding safety, especially when you're at sea. So anyway, those are my thoughts about this today. I have a lot of them though, but that's what I'm thinking about today. So what I'd really love you to do is think about your own safety. Think about what's important to you. Think about how you can create safety for yourself and others, because it's a two-way street. It's dynamic. Something that was safe may not feel safe in the future. Something that feels safe now may not in the future. Totally fine. Pay attention. Honor your own rhythm. Honor your own way. And so, as always, feel free to make a get to know you call if you want to talk about this or anything else. I am always here. My goal is to serve and inspire and educate all of us so that together we make a beautiful, amazing, magical world. So until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you are a rock star. You are here on purpose with a purpose. So go out there and let your light shine. And remember, keep your safety first. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well.